Hey, it's me again. Now with glasses on. Okay. So, I wanted to kind of share some thoughts with you guys on maybe kind of feeling like an imposter when you're studying at Oxford, or generally like the experience of failing or failing your own really high expectations. And so for context, I've mentioned before, but I have a what do they call it? A qualifying exam next week, which is an essay-based exam on everything that we've covered so far, which they kind of think is like the basis of neuroscience, or like an overview. So you can kind of think of it as an intro, but an intro at grad level with like you know, world leading researchers, experts in the topic and topics. And so me and all the others in the program, you know, we've been studying really hard. We're all equally stressed, except for some people, you know, that we're not going to do well enough, we're going to fail, and these kind of things. So a lot of people have been struggling with that I've talked to. And then yesterday, I went to pick up feedback. So we had to submit a practice essay under timed conditions without notes so that we can receive feedback on it for like some general guidance. And that was 3 weeks ago, and we finally got the feedback now. And I wrote an essay on astrocytes from a past exam paper, and while I was doing it, I was like, this is going really well. I think, you know, I'm gonna nail this thing, it's gonna be great. And so I was really happy with the essay that I submitted. And then I got the feedback yesterday, and yeah, so it wasn't great feedback. Like, so bearing in mind this exam is a pass-fail exam, so it really doesn't matter what grade you get, but still seeing that number on the practice essay just was very discouraging and disheartening. And the feedback we got was also very discouraging and disheartening. It was just like, yeah, the basics were covered, but this and this and this was left out. So it was basically about the functions of astrocytes, and which wasn't really covered that much in the lectures. And I based my essay off of notes from like one of the most trusted textbooks in neuroscience, which is from Kendall. He's a big name in neuroscience. And so I included everything there. I'm sorry, I really don't know what's wrong with my voice. I included everything there, and yet still this like world expert on astrocytes who graded my essay was like, yeah, this was left out. All of these functions of astrocytes were not mentioned. And I'm like, well, they weren't mentioned in the lecture. I looked in the book, and they weren't mentioned there either. And yeah, it's really hard to understand what is expected of us in the exam, because the whole time the professors were like, oh, it's just pass-fail, like, don't worry about it. As long as you know what's in the lectures, you're gonna be fine. And then I'm like, well, that's cool, but the function of astrocytes was mentioned on one slide in the lecture, so obviously you need to prepare more, which I did, and yet still it wasn't enough, and it wasn't good. And they were like, oh, you need to add more clinical reference, like clinical relevance when astrocytes aren't working. Sorry, they're just for their type of cell in the brain. It really doesn't matter too much. And so all of these things, and it was just like really disheartening. And so I messaged other people in my course and asked them how they did, and they all got similar marks, and everyone was just like really sad. And one of my friends, she was like, yeah, when I picked up the feedback and I looked at it, like, I couldn't stop thinking about it for the rest of the day, and I couldn't study. And I had a similar thing yesterday. I just, like, felt so disheartened because before I was like, yeah, revision is going well, I think I have a good grasp of everything, I think I added, like, I found some really cool things that I can add in the essays that weren't mentioned. Yeah, and then this, and so I was just so upset yesterday, and I ended up taking a 4-hour nap because I just had no motivation to continue. Because I was like, well, clearly I'm not revising the way I should be, and I'm clearly not good enough. So yes, this exam is pass-fail, but after that, everything is not pass-fail. Our thesis is not pass-fail. None of the course essays are pass-fail. It's all graded. And so if I only get kind of like that type of grade, which, bear in mind, is considered a good grade in the UK, or in England at least, but for some reason it's not good enough, because most of us are used to being the best person in our undergrad, getting the highest marks and all of that. Like, I did my undergrad in the US and there I never got anything under like 93%. It was only once in a sociology class, which was, you know, not what I studied. It was just in addition. So yeah, kind of having to deal with that is really hard. And then yesterday I was like, well, I know I need to do more studying, but I don't even know what to do, where to start, because what I'm doing isn't working. And I have this book that I bought, which is supposed to like prepare you for UK essay style exams, but even that I don't find very helpful. And in my feedback it was also like, oh, you need to, you know, talk about relevant, blanking on the word right now, like relevant, you know, discussions, and bring in like different opinions and bring in your own opinion and all of that. And I'm like, how can I have an opinion on astrocytes? And like, it's just the cell. I can tell you what the cell does, but it's not very controversial. So I'm at a loss. Many other people in my course are at a loss, especially those of us who haven't sat exams that are essay based in the UK before. So yeah, so people at Oxford don't think they're the smartest. I think most of us are actually constantly worried that we're not good enough and that we're disappointing the professors and we shouldn't have received an offer in the first place. And I don't have a solution to that. It's just something I'm dealing with right now. So this has been a long video of me just talking in one take. So I am going to go back to studying now. That's all. So don't think that students at like Oxford or any other university that has a certain has a certain reputation, like, are the most confident and are the smartest, because I really don't think so. And I think most of us are just kind of concerned that a mistake was made and we shouldn't have gotten our offer, and now here we are, not living up to the expectations of everyone and disappointing the professors that made the offer in the first place. Exciting times. Sorry for the sad video, but that's the truth. That's something I wanted to talk about. Yeah. Hope you all have a good day. If you have exams that you're preparing for, wish you the best of luck. I'm rooting for you.